The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers.
Yeah. Check it out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your good friend, Rafa Sparza. I am in a vaguely good mood. You know when you're in a good mood and you don't quite know why? Mostly it's because I was covering the Dream BJJ tournament over this weekend, so Dream Jiu-Jitsu was very sweet to go ahead and have me take photographs for them. You guys will see those a little bit later. Not on here. On the internet. I'm not doing that. Not here. But what I can tell you is this. When you get the opportunity to talk about new organizations, especially ones that are making such big waves, you want to take advantage of that. Because for right now, there is a promotion, and it's weird because normally you would say they'd be taking place on the Third Coast, and yet it's kind of what they're calling themselves. So it makes it easier to go and say it, because we, on the West Coast, the best coast in my opinion, we get a lot of love. Then the East Coast people are always like, we're so good, we love pizza, get out of my way, I'm walking here, and they're doing all of that. But there is a growing scene in Texas, and I've been privy to it, especially when I went out there to go visit for one of the EBIs. And I'm so glad that we're able to talk to the man behind Third Coast Grappling, Ryan McGuire. Ryan, we want to know all about this organization, sir, and I would love to say I'm so happy that you're putting this together. But first and foremost, how are you doing today, sir?
And hey, thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it. Just build up. I mean, we got two events within the next 5 weeks, so it's one really big one and one kind of big one. So it's it's interesting. Things are overlapping, but we're getting it done. Getting ready to ramp up for a good end of the year.
When you say that you have two events in the next 5 weeks, and there's obviously there's Christmas and there's New Year's kind of in between the two of them, are there better ways you could be spending that time? Well, actually, we're not even at Christmas, right? It's going to be...
No, we're doing it before, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, we scheduled it out kind of purposely like that. We wanted to do the week before Halloween for our qualifiers event because we're going to do a Halloween party, kind of a Houston Jiu-Jitsu community Halloween party, costume contest, live music, let Jiu-Jitsu people let their hair down a little bit. And then we go into the event the next day and we rock and roll. So, we had some thought behind that. But then going into December 7th, it's the week before No-Gi Worlds. So some of these guys that are going in there on the 12th, they come to our event, they can get warmed up, have a little bit of a dry run, and then rock and roll. So it's there's a lot of thought that goes into the scheduling. I mean, there's a lot of other events out there doing stuff. You got Seth and Fight to Win doing something every weekend, killing it. You got guys like the Kasai guys are doing their thing. I mean, there's a lot of competing. There's a lot of competition out there these days, and I don't really look at it as really competition anymore. It's just a lot of people collaborate with and spread good jiu-jitsu. So.
Well, you're also going and collaborating and doing a lot of things as well. But I saw you over here very briefly over at ADCC. So you're checking everything out. You're making sure to support as both a fan and also as a promoter. So it is good to see that you're not just somebody who goes, well, my events and my events only. Good luck, everybody else.
Well, that's something that we kind of wanted to. Take that step because I saw that, a lot of these guys are so busy with, their regular events or whatever. They don't really there's not a lot of time for them to go up and do this. Like we went out and thanks to Michael Zinga and the Fanatics crew, we went out to Boston for the Brown Belt Invitational. Outstanding event. It was great. But we got to mingle, we got to network, we got to meet a lot of people that you normally just talk to behind a computer screen. So we kind of took that mentality, and we've been able to move around and travel. Went to California a couple of times. First time earlier this year, we went up to Professor Homelo's place, Edwin's place, saw his new gym, and kind of got some good business done with Everyday Pojada. Love those guys. And then ADCC, Mo kind of invited us out as a guest, and we went out and, ran into you guys and, our friends Avery and Kit over at Jiu-Jitsu Times and it was great, man. We just wanted to sit back and enjoy the show. And in doing that, we got to do some good business, talk to some people. Like I said, we've only talked to behind computers, and get some good stuff done for, this year and next. And, we got to see FloGrappling, their big build up for ADCC, and they did a great job on it. So it was a cool experience. That was the best event I've ever been to. So, including my own.
So when you're talking about spending some time, it looks like you said you've gotten to spend some time with some of the guys, the Danaher guys and whatnot, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Gordon, he's been a great guy. I mean, his persona online, he's nothing like that if you actually know the guy. So I mean, he's been great.
Gordon's never been ridiculous to me in person. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I go back I'm probably one of his first interviews, so we have a very cordial relationship. And my interview style is a little bit more like, "Hey, dummy, what did you just post?"
Like stand-up comedy kind of blended with it a little bit, A
little bit. Well, the thing is like, I always like to remind our guests in a way, which is always saying like, listen, there's a certain boring way to do it that won't get you traction. But I can hear the soundbite, so I can hear what will get you some attention. So if I'm going to do that sort of style, I would do this with you, which is, well, you said you've been spending time with, Gordon and, some of the guys from Danaher. How contagious is that? Because you're wearing a rash guard right now. So, I mean, are you stealing that from Danaher right now? Is that what you absorb from those guys?
I mean, we're gearing up. We have the IBJJF Houston Open on Sunday. And it's a really big tournament for our team. I train under Professor Dracolino, Gracie Baja, Texas. Nice. And our teams, we're like, I think 10 or 11 times Houston Open champions. So we're gearing up. I mean, there's been a lot of good competition to our titles. So, I tell them, I'm like, I'm going to go win my gold medal and then I'm retiring. That's it. I was like, it's really hard to ramp up and to give that kind of dedication, because I give the hats off to these competitors, man. I'm 34 years old. I'm out here training twice a day right now. My knees hurt. My elbows hurt. I feel old as shit right now. I mean, it's just, I hats off to them, but I don't have the time or the focus like I used to really to do it the way it needs to. But I've gotten some great training in. My professors, Lucas Valente, Andres Centro, we've got, at any given time, you've got 4, 5, 6 world champs on the mat. And so that sort of knowledge is just contagious, and it really goes into the environment that we have at GB Texas under Professor Dracolino. It's the best gym I've ever been to, and that's high praise. I've been around to a lot of them, so I might be a little biased, but it's home. It's a great place to train.
Well, it's very admirable that you would be able to take some time out, help the team get ready, help yourself get ready as well. But when you got interviews lined up, I know one of the things that really hurts for me on my side is when ADCC kicked up, my own personal training goes out the window. And it's so weird because you're interviewing and you're talking jiu-jitsu so much. My own gym sent a note being like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "This thing, the ADCC, where do you think I am?" And, so I understand it can be hectic just on my side, let alone if you're putting together an event, which so many people don't know if they've never put on an event, how many small things go into it. And it's so weird, like, you figure like, oh, you get some lights, you get some stage, and then, you rent it out, and then, you tell some athletes to come and show up in contracts, and boom.
Some of them do it that way. Some of them really do it that way. And that's the thing. It's like, why are you going to invest all this time and money and effort and not even put a proper marketing plan together or even know how to get your event out to the masses? You're like, hey, here's my event. Everybody watch it. Well, nobody's watching it because they don't know where to watch it. Or your poster looks like crap, and I would rather go do something else with my time. It's like little stuff like that, those details. Like from poster design to web design to, social media to how you're presenting yourself. People forget that there's a whole other aspect. And jiu-jitsu people as a whole, they know jiu-jitsu, they know the industry, but some of them are lacking, some of the marketing and social media skills and stuff. So that's why, like, we were lucky with Third Coast is that we recognize our strengths. We recognize where we're strong at. I'm a great marketer. I'm great at matchmaking. I'm good at the operational stuff. The business side, the numbers, the backbone of the company, that's my partner, Zach. And we have a great yin and yang. He's the quiet, reserved one. I'm the crazy, outgoing, loud one. So it's kind of, it balances itself out. But I think in a market so saturated right now, like with people trying to break through and do something, you got to be a little obnoxious. You got to be a little loud. You got to be a little out there to get some attention. And that's what I've tried to explain to some people. I'm like, look, I'm not an asshole. I know some of our Make Grappling Great Again and our Donald Trump pictures and stuff. All the crazy stuff we were doing was just a page out of his book. I mean, people either love the guy or hate him. I mean, personally, I don't care for him, but I can't knock how he got people's attention and got them passionate about his causes with politics. So we went out there and we're like, hey, we're just going to go out there and say some crazy stuff and get people to really, start tuning in. And then, then the big play was in June when we pulled that show off. So I think that all-in gamble, we were either going to go down in flames or we were going to rise, and it was going to pay off really big, and pay off big it did. I really believe it did. So,
well, that's good. And I mean, the weirdest part is, it's hard to speak about this with any kind of context or clairvoyance, but when Donald Trump was starting, he basically turned a dad hat into a campaign thing, and it's like a huge marketing
like
success.
A rich voter's hat or something, like, hey, and then everybody wanted to wear the red hats and go to his Klan rallies or whatever they called them, the campaign rallies, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Because actually went to one of their deals because I just wanted to see the spectacle. They had it here in Houston, up near the Woodlands. And me and a buddy of mine went out there, and man, if you ever want to feel bad about America, go to a Donald Trump rally. That is, I mean, I'm a social conservative. I have, my tendencies. I mean, we're the new age, man. Like we're able to have beliefs on both sides.
Sure.
But to go there and just see people like just so hard line and like chastising people and circling them and bullying them and arguing and it's not my vibe. I think it's bad for the country. I don't think it's good.
Well, I think one of the things that we're going to have to work on post-Trump in whatever way that we are is I had joked that Donald Trump was a mix between like drag queen shade and also like an internet troll president. So it was like watching someone from Reddit, like a collective consciousness of Reddit being shitty to people in president form. And I think that one of the things we're going to have to work on post him is going to be like, how do we talk to each other again? Because I don't want to stay in this forever. This whole like world of being shitty to each other is like half the time I'm like, I don't even have a problem with this person.
I'm the same way, man. Like there's a lot of that going on. Like a Gordon Ryan comment section is basically Donald Trump's whole mentality. Like you want to feel bad about jiu-jitsu. I mean, the guy's out there saying real nice stuff, passionate stuff, thanking his coaches, and somebody's in there. Well, what about Felipe Pena? And it makes me laugh every time. Or they're out there calling him, all kinds of names and this. And look, Gordon feeds off that stuff, so it's not like it's hurting his feelings. So, but I mean, there's just some really like people are really ballsy behind a computer. And then when you see him face to face, it's like it's gone. So I don't know.
It's a little different in that yesterday somebody was trying to give me shit because I told Gary a joke. So Gary ripped off doing a Schwarzenegger, Dylan, you son of a bitch, and it does.
When he saw the talk shit, whatever worldwide guy or whatever.
Yeah,
Nick Ortiz, the one where he did like the hand clasp video.
Yeah, but he's doing that. He's trying to push this. Talk that shit. Yeah, talk that shit. Like that's his new thing.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I'm a fan of it. But I sent him a thing being like, "Where's the accent, bruh?" And the running joke I have with Gary is that every time I see him do a joke, I go, "That's Will Ferrell." And he'll be like, "What?" And I was like, "You're just ripping off Will Ferrell movies or his bits. Like, as a comic, I don't rip off other people's bits. You can pay homage to it, but like, it's like dangerous." So
like Carlos Mencia and Joe Rogan is like probably one of my favorite call outs. When Rogan got on there and just tore his ass apart for stealing everybody's jokes is one of my favorite probably comedic moments in the last 10 years, 20 or whatever.
But it felt like justice for comedians who oftentimes just see their bits get ripped off and can do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. So Joe stepping in was like a moment of
was awesome.
Like, but somebody on the internet saw that, and they saw that I was giving Gary shit, and then Gary says to me, he's like, "Roth, you wouldn't know anything because you just rip off other people's jokes and this," and he's like saying what I always make fun of him about. And somebody on the internet, when I gave Gary shit, goes to me and was like, "Hey, Verbal Tapcast, you're an unfunny clown, and nobody likes your page," or whatever. And I was just like, I'm literally giving shit to my friend, and you can't tell the difference. And sure as shit, Gary like posts and is just like, he's like, we message each other, and he's just like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?" I was like, "I don't know, man." I go, "But it's funny to me." I was like, it's no skin off my back. It's just one of those things where people feel very okay saying jokes, and I think that they don't know how joke structure could work. Like if somebody made a really funny joke about me, I'd be like, oh shit, that was pretty good. But I really don't get that. I usually just get shit posts and people just saying dumb things.
You gotta love it. I mean, yeah, I mean, we get it on our end too. We'll post something real cool. Well, and it's always just some guy just coming and saying hateful, negative stuff. And I think that we're starting to breed a culture of that, is that there's a lot of just very angry, introverted people sitting on the internet using it as an outlet for their real life stresses. So they're coming on saying terrible stuff. They're sitting there relishing in it, but then they go back to their miserable lives and they go back to sitting in their mom's garage apartment or wherever they're at, and just go back to being little, just miserable little trolls. I mean,
but
that's the end all of it.
There is one good thing. So one of the things I found about doing this is, especially when you're a host and you're visible, I get this all the time. I don't get people who necessarily always know who I am, but they've seen an interview with me talking to somebody that they know. So they're like, you're that guy. And I tell people, I'm like, when I go to roll with them, I get 2 responses. And it just happened this weekend. The first response is somebody goes, hey, you're that guy. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Hi. And then the second response is, I know who you are. And I go, oh, they're going to try and murk me in this role. And more often than not, the person who really was trying to murk me and does not appreciate what I am, at the very end of a role goes, yeah, all right, yeah, you're okay. Yeah, And I'm like, it's the door-to-door salesman. It's like, listen, dude, I love this culture. I come and I promote it. If I make fun of somebody, I tend to know who they are. Because I have a policy of, I'm only going to insult you to your face. If I say something on the show, it's a joke that I would say to your face. And that's usually the method that I run. And it's not quite something that I see a lot of other people doing. But let's stop talking about comedy. Let's get to this, because I'm intrigued as to how your journey started, because I think I came in right at the beginning of watching you guys start to put your tournament stuff together. And, there was no middle person that we knew each other from, but I was just trying to watch from afar. And then I interviewed a lot of the guys who competed for your stuff, and they had great things to say. So that's usually when I start saying, like, hey, I'd like to reach out. And I think it hit a pinnacle when you were starting to work on some Gordon matches that I said, oh, I'm listening. Who and how? Those sound great. But let's talk about where your journey begins, sir.
I have a background in kind of concert promotion, production. I've toured with some really big acts. I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but I learned from an early age how to throw a show, how to throw a concert, how to entertain people, what gets people going. So, I was in the military. I got out of the military, medically retired, and I moved on to defense contracting, where I was over in the Middle East a lot, and I wasn't very home much. So I got back. I had my little bit of struggle. I'm a big advocate for mental health and veteran issues and stuff like that. Myself, I went through, a couple of years where I was, had some drug stuff, some alcohol stuff, but I got out of it. I lost 100 pounds. I credit jiu-jitsu a lot with, giving me my, my career now, but also saving my life. I know that sounds cliche, but man, if you met me before jiu-jitsu and now, I'd probably fill up this whole frame where my head's at on the camera right now. No, but it was bad, and jiu-jitsu was really the catalyst for me to really turn my life around. So I said, you know what? I've done enough of these jobs where, people think I'm honorable, or, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this, or I'm going to do this. But I realized that if I could find something I'm passionate about and turn that into my job, then that's going to be, that's what everybody hopes to do. If they say, if you love what you do and you don't work another day in your life, that's a lie. Number one, you're going to work your ass off even harder because you care about it and you're passionate about it. But, that kind of opportunity, we had another partner of ours, Jim, that came in, and he really gave us the opportunity to do this full time and to really take it where it needs to go. And, he's a third owner with myself and my partner, Zach. And we were able to bring in the capital and, some of the business experience we needed to get this thing, really going. So we went to an event to where I saw, some things that really concerned me, like with the rules and with how things were going. And then, I've always followed Fight to Win. So Seth and those guys, the way they do their thing, the biggest party in grappling and all that. We didn't steal from them. We didn't try to copy them, but it's interesting. We thought that, with our background, we would use music venues. They have a lot of the built-in production stuff already. I have a good network of people that I know through the music industry where we're not even having to pay rental fees. A lot of guys are having to pay 10, 15, 20 grand off the top just to rent a venue. And we're getting it basically for free. So we're able to do a lot more things with our shows, and a lot of people would have that capital eaten up in venue rental and security, and we don't have to deal with that. So we have a lot of good partnerships from my time in the music business that have really helped us with venues and helping me with getting the production and stuff off the ground that we need to do. So after I saw that event, I sent out like a message to about 20 people that I admired or I'd want to work with, or that had some skills I thought could be valuable to what we were trying to do. And initially 3 people showed up. My partner, Zach, who's also an equity owner. He's our CEO. I'm the president and COO. Zach showed up, another guy named Ben, and then our original fighter relations gal named Molly. Super smart people, like chemical engineering degree from Brown, Cornell grad. I mean, just super, super smart people. And they really helped us get it, formalized and structured. And we went out and we went all the way up till our second qualifiers event. And, they had their challenges with their day job and stuff, and, having to balance time and manage time. And, it just got too demanding. So they kind of took more of an advisory role and helped out day of. And we brought in our other fighter relations gal who's been like invaluable. Like, I'm telling you, she's my right hand. If it wasn't for her, I don't think this thing would run even near as smoothly as it does, because she helps keep my crazy ass in line. But Lisa came in and she's done a great job for us. But, it took a while. We go from a day-to-day team of 3 or me to 20 plus people on event day. So, it's a lot to do on our own, and that we're realizing, you can only do so much. I'm planning out next year. I'm doing 2 current events. I've got 13 events next year I have to plan. So it's a lot to deal with. I mean, it's a
Hold
big.
on, let's stop here. I heard 13 events.
Yeah, lucky number 13, baby.
Okay. So, you shined a little light on this, and I want to dig a little deeper just into your connection to grappling in just a second. But let's first start with this. Were you doing sports in high school? Was that something that you were involved in? Did you care about it?
Yeah, I'm a big basketball and football fan. That's like my 2 favorite, and Astros as well. When they're in the playoffs, go Astros. But yeah, I mean, sports has always been a big cornerstone for me. I'm very competitive, like probably to the point that it drives people mad around me how competitive I can get. But
do you have an example? Because again, I know this from the athlete side, and I'm very clear about how I want to be the best broadcaster and host amongst my friends who are my peers. So, part of that is, the way that Gordon will troll Felipe Pena, I'll be trolling people who have podcasts. Just the other day, they said, go follow this podcast, and I chimed in underneath. No, and
I'm the kind of, I'm a reformed internet troll. That I used to love doing that stuff. I was the worst. Like when I was younger, like I was over in the Middle East, not having much to do, just on these internet forums, giving people hell. I loved it. I was 24, 25, nothing else to do, whatever. But, when it comes to competition, yeah, I mean, when I first came in the industry, I wake up with a chip on my shoulder the size of the Tostitos plant, man. Like I'm ready to go to war with everybody. Like I have so much to prove to not just myself, but like, we're just a couple of blue belts in this industry of people that have, the way it was mentality, or just have such a frozen outlook on things that we're trying to come in and being called disruptors and this and that. We just want to make, like I said, grappling exciting for people past the practitioner. Cool, whatever. You can tell me, that it was a 10-minute technical match. There was a sweep. The guy won by an advantage and 2 points. Oh, amazing. Cool practitioner. It's exciting. But if you put that out there to somebody that's never trained before, they're going to be bored to fucking tears. So we had to find a rule set, a structure, even down to the size of our mat space. We structured it down to force the action. Even our mats are smaller, because if you put 2 lines in a large cage, they're going to circle around each other, sniff their asses, do whatever. You put them in a smaller cage, they're going to get after it. So it's the same with the UFC. They have their big and small cage. So we took that mentality from that small of a detail all the way up to, our rules and different stuff. And we had a little bit of controversy with our overtime rules the last event, but we've even reformed those to a streamlined deal that's getting rave reviews from everybody. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly listening, and we're very competitive. At first, we came in and rubbed like the Seths and some of the other guys the wrong way with some of our messaging. And I like Seth a lot now. I actually talk to him pretty regularly, and whatever. Seth, he's a cool guy, but he's given me some good advice, and a lot of the stuff he's told me has came true. So I can't doubt the guy on his advice and basically creating this industry. So I got a lot of respect for those guys now, where initially I kind of had a bullheaded approach to where I wanted to fight everybody or to be the best. But I mean, there's no competition here. I mean, it's all about the sport. And if I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be the best version of my business that I can be and not worry about what everybody else is doing. That's what I try to do.
And I do feel that a lot of people who stick to just the realm of being shit posters really don't try to do this. I mean, what's funny is like I remember being somebody who would post jokes and do stuff like that, but it would always be like never to the extent that I hated anybody. It was just like, oh, here's a funny joke. Like, oh, do you guys like Justin Timberlake? Not my bag. I like Michael Jackson better, but whatever. What do you do? If you like that version, or it'd be like, you do things where it's just like you have preferences. But I think as you get older, you start to say the following, which is, if you start to create your own business, not only do you have not as much time to do that sort of shit, but you see it from the other end. And I think that comes from experience. But I can tell you this right now, the way that people are shit posting each other now versus then has changed significantly. And
Very much
usually
so.
a lot more aggressiveness and assholishness toward it. So that's the part that I don't understand. But let's ask this. So you play sports a little bit, it's part of your life, you're consumed with it, you're a fan. And then, did you ever at all see yourself doing something in sports? Because, I want to get to this transition of you going into the military, but like, when you have that sort of outlook of what you're planning to do, what were you thinking you would end up doing?
I'll be honest with you. Like I had kind of a tough childhood. I mean, I joined the military when I was 17, like fresh out. I was one of the first people on the ground in Iraq in 03 and 04. I mean, I was in it and I was very young and I had some really tough challenges. I kind of joined the military to escape a tough, upbringing. And that military gave me a unique set of skills. I lived in Germany. I was deployed to Iraq. I went to Afghanistan a little bit. I've been all over the Middle East, all over Europe. I mean, before the time I was 21, it was crazy, to the point to where I thought maybe I'd peaked already. I thought maybe this is it for me. I'd interviewed with the CIA. I worked at the State Department in Washington, D.C. I did some really cool stuff, but then my own demons with PTSD and stuff like that came in, and stuff that I was pushing off and ignoring for a while finally came to a full steam, and I was able to, get back down and start understanding what was going on. And then from there is when I kind of started doing some music stuff. I'd always been musically inclined. I've played guitar since I was 14. And like I said, I always had a knack for putting on a good event or show. I mean, we used to throw concerts like in 2010 on like high rises in downtown Houston, like as part of like these big like lounge clubs. Like it was called Fix Lounge. We threw it on the top. People walking down, it was like a big party area, loud rock bands playing and concerts. And like I always had like a crazy mind for entertaining. And so when it came back down to, I had a day job. I was working for a really big logistics operation transportation company. And I left it about 6 months ago because it was to the point to where my job performance there was suffering, on top of trying to do, I'm taking conference calls, with FloGrappling, at 10 a.m. right on the back end of an executive meeting. And then while I'm on with them, I miss 5 calls because of work. So it was too much. It was taking too much from me. But that led me to, that job there was so stressful and was just dealing with some pretty grimy people, I guess. And I was just like, man, like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. I've always felt I had more of a calling than just to sit behind a desk 9 to 5 and try to, make somebody else rich. I wanted to get out there. And like I said, another partner came in, his name was Jim, and Zach, and all of us pulled together and we were able to get it to where I was comfortable full time. And I never looked back after that. It's just been a full grind, since then. And then, we kind of got tripped up after our second event. We were renegotiating with FloGrappling for a little bit, and things got a little sideways. I think there were some misunderstandings there, and we were getting a lot of information about pay-per-view, and this is how you got to be sustainable, and you can't be sustainable with FloGrappling, and you can't do all these people were just telling us, and these promoters that were putting on these pay-per-views were telling us these ridiculous gaudy numbers, like, oh, well, we did 20,000 buys and this and that. And I'm like, I'm talking to people that actually know, and they're like, 20,000 buys, that's never going to happen right now. And people are getting excited about selling 2,000 buys. And 2,000 buys at what we were going to charge doesn't get us anywhere near, we haven't really told many people yet because we're trying to finally, but we're finalizing a new deal with FloGrappling to come back.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm sure that's going to be something that you legally can talk about at a different time, correct?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into details, but I mean, we're getting ready to craft a press release and all that. And there's been some good, I've been back and forth to Austin a few times, meeting with their executive team. And, look, FloGrappling gave us a deal sight unseen without even throwing an event. They've never done that. And they trusted in us in the beginning, saying, hey, all right, let's see what these guys can do. We went out, had a great first event. But our second event was such an increase from our first event that it kind of caught everybody off guard, including them. And then where we felt maybe we weren't being, taken care of, it was just more or less that we changed the game and flipped the script so quickly, it didn't give people enough time to catch up. So there was just some misunderstandings. We started getting ahead about, okay, well, we need to be sustainable. We had investors that were really leaning on us about pay-per-view and wanting a return and this and that. And that's why, Seth and these other guys are like, hey, don't take money from people, because then those people can tell you how to run your business. Essentially, they could. So, we were trying to see where we were at, and we were in our negotiations with Flo. We can't really talk about it much, but it got to the point to where we were able to sit down, have a productive conversation, and they showed us I went to ADCC, and that really also sold me, where I saw how well they did with the production and how well things kind of went off. Yeah, there were some things people could say about the annual fee, before ADCC, and I wasn't a big fan of that. I'm not going to sit here and be a company man about it. I mean, there were some things that people were, I'm sure that they were bent out of shape about, some of the media being blackballed and all that stuff. It's not my.
Who would be mad about that? I don't know.
Like maybe the media, but I understand, because we've had some, at our last event, there were people, media, so to say, people that all of a sudden had a camera the day before that want to be on our list. And we're like, sure, cool, come do a video, come check it out. So we're sitting there, and these guys are sitting mat side posting finishes before FloGrappling can even get like the clips up on Instagram. So you got these guys sitting there posting the Marigali cyborg finish, which really, really pisses off FloGrappling. You know how they are with you're posting finishes or even clips. Like, they don't want any of their content out there. So these guys are posting finishes and really ruining the rollout of that. So they came to us and were like, hey, you can't have these sort of people around there if they're going to be basically breaching our agreement, by what they're doing under your authority.
Well, this is kind of the plight that I have to go through, which is many people who are advertised as media have not actually done media training. So they've never gone to school for it. They've never, many of their channels don't really know a lot of the ethical kind of things that you're supposed to do, or just basically ever been told how to do it. So those of us who have a background in it, or who have worked in television, look at these people and go like, hey, don't ruin it for the rest of us. And worst of all, you look at them and you go, I'm not them. Those dum-dums don't know. Like, half the time, and there are legitimate gripes that I think that need to be addressed, because, half the time, Flo, whenever I'm doing interviews, is like, hey, listen, Raph, we know you. You're okay. And I'm like, that's not a good thing either. Like, don't make me one of the boys. Like, there should be a process. There should be a place. And they would be like, but if you could, do us a solid with your interviews. We're just worried about getting the matches. And I was like, I don't want your stupid matches. I just want to interview people. I was like, I will literally do it. But they'll be like, oh, can you go do it far away, though? Like, where no one can see you. And I always think to myself, no, I'm not hiding. There's no hiding in this. No. There's me doing my job. And if they'll be like, what if somebody wants to do what you do? And I was like, I would invite them to, because it's always me. There's me and maybe two other guys who show up to these events. Mm-hmm. And if you think we're looking for free tickets, I got to tell you, man, this is the worst racket I've ever run, because you're basically going there to do something much like you do, which is you see a niche that needs to be filled. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that annoys me is when these guys win and nobody's talking to them.
It's ridiculous, yeah. Like, there's a big gap to there. Like, you are hands down, I think, the best in the game at what you do. I mean, hands down. And there was no reason why you should have had that sort of exclusion over that. And whatever, people have the reasons. I don't know the whole story. I don't know. I try to stay out of all that, because all it does is get me in trouble. So I just try to steer clear of the controversial topics, because next thing you know, I'm getting legal warnings and all this stuff, because people are so quick to be shitty people, but they're also really quickly to hide behind lawsuits as well. So whatever. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
I'll tell you this much, and I appreciate your kind words, but the weird part about this whole thing is the negative side is you get all these people sending you these nice notes that are just like, oh, hey, Raph, you're so good. And I was like, I'm not looking for that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for you guys.
Off here.
It's very nice, but, it's difficult to explain to people the difference between being a media member who goes, does a job, and provides some kind of service and being some asshole who just gives away the thing. Like when I see other media members live streaming shit, I'm always like, where's your camera pointed? Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. This is a two-way street. If they're giving you access, maybe they didn't put it in writing that you can't do certain things, but how is that going to help the organization? You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of us have a very similar thing. If you look at our Venn diagram, and even the people who probably don't like me, if you look at the Venn diagram of what we all believe in, there is a part that is a core that says athlete experience and what it is they're getting, and is it good for them, and how do we get the best out of it? So there is that. Let's go ahead and talk about a few of these comments, because I'm getting a few of these. The first is from the Fifth Stripe podcast that says, I heard he has a mean double leg. Can you confirm or deny this?
I'm gonna, I enjoy a good wrestling class. Let's just put it that way. I know who asked that question. The guy over there, he's a nasty wrist locker. He's just trying to be an insurgent in this interview, and we're not gonna let him take it over.
God. I didn't know we had people
dirty wrist locker. Look, he can talk about my wrestling, that's fine, but he's wrist locking white belts. Let's just put it there.
Oh, well, it also says make grappling great again, so he's got that going for you guys. So I can see the insurgency happening slowly but slowly.
Oh yeah, it's already started.
We've got a few notes here, though. Omar has a response to Jordan Hawley. Jordan said that Omar, a hater. So,
what did Omar have to say?
I don't know. Omar, I don't have anything from him, but I can tell you this. He says the truth. Omar agrees. He is a hater. So whatever's happening on their life, I don't quite know at this moment. Let's bring this in. Jordan has very nicely said, Rafa Esparza for 3CG commentator. Sure. I hear that you have people. Who are the people that you do have?
Actually, our commentary team is strong. I really love those guys. We got Professor Brandon Mullins, world champion, innovator. He did a lot of stuff with Stephen Kesting, and he owns a company, Just Gi Pants. He's also one of my main professors, and he's done a lot for not just myself, but also for the company. I mean, he's been one of the innovator with the rules. Me and him sat down for hours, and we really hammered out our rules and our structure together. He's been a great consultant. Hashtag BJJ consultant, if he sees this. But he's been great. And then Professor Alan Villacorta, he's the one that's on the Fist Stripe podcast giving me hell. He's great. They're great. I mean, they have a very unorthodox approach to commentary, because what kind of spurred this was at the end of our first event, it just kept rolling. Nobody cut the footage, so we had like 18 minutes of them a little drunk, no video, just bullshit and talk. It was the silliest. I hope we can release it one day, because it was. I still laugh my ass off at it when I hear it, but it was so funny and just so off cuff. That's why we started our podcast, the Fist Stripe podcast. That's why they're doing the commentary. But I've kept pushing on them. I want a third in the booth. So Raph, you want to come do some color? Hey, come on with it. I mean, we definitely need a third, and I'd be more than happy to have you.
I mean, I'd definitely be interested. I'd love to do that. Mostly because much in the same way that I tell people this. I'm like, the way that people approach competing is the way I approach all of this. So like the way that they review tape, the way that they get really serious about it, like, the interview doesn't just end when we're done. There's a whole process about it. And the same thing goes when I do commentary, which is you take it as a real honor to like tell their stories, tell their narratives. And if you do really good research, or you see something that other people can't do, you provide some kind of insight that most people don't. And half the time I know these guys' stories pretty in and out. So, yeah, I'd love to work with you guys. We'll definitely talk more off air about that. But let's make this more about you, sir. I appreciate that. Let's talk about this, because you mentioned that you went and you started doing these first events. And you said that there was a big learning curve between event number 1 and event number 2, just in terms of like what you saw that you could even do better and what you could improve. And you get this massive result, a change in the second event. What was the difference between the two?
Well, we initially were, real conservative. Okay, we'll get this event, we'll do this, and we'll do that. But finally, I was like, you know what? There is nobody doing what we're doing, and nobody's going to know what we're doing unless we make a bunch of noise and we do something off the wall and crazy. So we put on the best damn grappling card that I've seen in a long time, and delivered. It was exciting. It was fun. Everybody got paid. I mean, there was a lot of good buzz around it, and it was one of those all-in moments. I'm a poker player as well. I love to gamble, so it was. I have a team of gamblers too, so it was kind of like, hey guys, let's. Here's the vision. Let's go all in and see what happens. And we doubled up. So we're going to go through. We're going to go through the qualifiers on the 26th, or it's going to be a great event. And then December 7th, I'm telling you. Let me pull my matchup sheet up right now that I haven't. Let me see if I can talk about any of this stuff.
Well, and I'm sure there's a reason you're pulling it up is because within this past week and a half, you have assaulted us with a series of match announcements that I've seen. Because normally I come in and I have a couple things that I go, oh, I should bring this up or I should bring this up. You had so many match announcements that I was like, Najmi? And who else? Wait, I keep seeing the face-off posters between these guys. I think they're going to be in face-off 10 or have a match against each other. So tell me about this. What are the matchups we could expect?
Well, see, I like to take kind of a lot of people are like, oh, let's be conservative. Let's release our matchup here. Let's do this. Ha, 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 he, he, he. I'm all about the scorched earth shotgun blast. I'm going to put so much content and so much shit down your throat that you're not going to have any choice but to listen whether you like us or not. You're going to see the Facebook ads. You're going to see the post. You're going to see everybody else sharing it. And you're going to get so tired of seeing Third Coast Grappling that you'll never forget about us. That's kind of my approach, is to oversaturate, because people have such a short attention span. He says, if you're not hitting them multiple times a week, they're going to forget about you. They're going to forget about Gordon Ryan and Rodolfo Vieira. They're going to forget about Homoloba Hall and Jake Shields. They're going to forget about Edwin Najmi and Gilbert Burns. So you got to constantly be doing things that are going to remind the public of what you have coming. Otherwise, they're going to forget about it and move on to the next shiny thing. So I like to kind of slow roll some of these announcements. I like to sometimes hit 2 or 3 at once. Like we hit the tag team match that we're going to do, which, by the way, shout out to Jordan Holy in the comments. He really gave me some good inspiration on that, but also Submission Underground and these guys up in Canada, Tap or Tag. We saw that craziness. I was like, let's see what we can do. So we got all 4 of the people that are competing in that match have competed for us. Stephanie had that great match with Hey Sunny, Natalia Santoro, that last second crazy finish. And then Mackenzie's fought for us multiple times, and so is her boyfriend Steven. But 2 couples, co-ed, men could be fighting women, tag team action, December 7th. It's going down. We're going to see how it plays out. I mean, it could either go up in flames or it could be actually pretty cool. I'm betting it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, also, Rob's involved in that one, and I know Rob well.
Great guy.
He's a really good guy. So, I mean, I've rolled with him. It's a tough roll, man. So I know what to expect from him as an individual. I like the fact. So when you say that Jordan was kind of credited as the idea, like how and specifically how did it come up?
Well, I was talking to him because we're kind of like war planning some of the matchups for his team. We have a very close relationship. Me and Jordan. From day one, I mean, there was some controversy over our first event with his former coach or whoever. I'm not going to get into details. Let's just say that it made me lose my faith in humanity a little bit, some of the stuff that was pulled. So, and I don't think it should be going on in the sport. And that's probably why you saw such a strong stand against that promotion locally, the one that came up that kind of was the domestic violence stuff and all that. That's why I think, because that guy was involved. I think there was also kind of that kind of pulled at me as well, because I know, like I said, that there's a lot of bad people masquerading into the public as good people. Because, I mean, I think the line between virtual reality and reality gets so blurred sometimes. People start believing the bullshit they're putting online as it's their actual real life, when it's just what they're projecting into the public that they want them to see. So these virtual and actual realities get blurred. And I'm like, man, look, I deal in one reality, and that's actual reality. I'm not going to sit here and gas up and act like I'm some edgy guy, but at the same time, screwing people over left and right. Like it's just a bad vibe. And I think Jordan has been, he left his team and then he started establishing himself with those Brazilian Fight Factory guys, William Tackett, Rodrigo Cabral, Cody Steele, and his game has just skyrocketed from there. And I think he's doing great. But he came in and we were just talking about matchups, and I was like, you know what? He's like, dude, we do this thing at my gym where it's kind of like a tag team thing, just like we do quintet stuff. We like to play around just to see, and I was like, cool, let me see it. So he did a sample and sent me some video and stuff, and I knew Submission Underground did it before. So I was like, okay, let's take a look at it. And then it came together perfectly. The couples were totally down and willing. Stephanie and Rob are great, and Mackenzie and Steven are great too. So they're ready to, let's see what happens.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, I appreciate seeing tag team grappling because, first, pro wrestling fan always, but second,
all day.
I just love the fact that when you get to get people, because one of the things I saw when Submission Underground was really putting it out there was people get excited about it. Like, it's weird because normally the stakes are you tap once, done, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that there was still like, no, we're not done. In fact, we're keeping a tally. And then it became like this pinball thing where you're seeing like, oh no, they're all the way in the corner, and what are they gonna do?
And then like, tap, and then somebody jumps on a rear naked choke, and like it's chaotic. Like, it's crazy.
It's so ridiculous, but at the same point, like, to break up the monotony of seeing what we always see, in order to get people excited, you have to give them something that's going to get the people going and get people to have fun every once in a while, as opposed to like serious, this is the most important match because it's happening right now. It's like, well, okay, it will be.
Like serious shit like IBJJF, the Abu Dhabi Pro, like all this Kasai. Like, look, we want to have fun. I want people out there talking shit. I want crazy submissions. I want a show, man. Like, because if you came to our last event, we had old ladies, we had people that they don't even know how to spell jiu-jitsu, that were like, when's the next one? Sign me up. I'm ready. Like, dude, that's what our next year when we scale our show is, to bring the hearts and minds to each city, because I think our live show is what's really going to sell people. So if we can put on it, the more live shows, the more we grow our brand, the more we grow our following, the more we grow the sport, because I think it's just going to take a few more of these and people are really going to wake up and they're going to see the potential.
Let's also give credit. I didn't know that we had this person watching, but we had Rob, who was watching. Robert just said, let's go. We're doing the first tag team matchup. So, Rob, I'm very glad that you were able to be watching while we were talking about you. I hope you didn't hear anything nice I said about you, though. I also want to go ahead and bring up a couple things. Diego Alameda says, hey. He says, Ryan is bae, according to Jordan Hawley. So, Jordan, I don't know that he's putting all others before you, but Jordan loves you back, sir.
I'm a married man, so look, well, we have a business relationship, but there's no fraternizing at Third Coast Grappling. So please keep your hands to yourselves. And Jordan, in your case, don't touch my ankles.
Dude, I still say this to this day, but like, Jordan is, he's just a good grappler, man. And I feel like it's really nice to watch somebody on their way up, who's just dedicated and puts their nose down and just does the work. So I'm very excited about this. Let's talk about a few other things, because you guys are unique in this respect, which is that you are putting up these posts, and a lot of times they're about the athletes, or saying like, hey, maybe we should be more mindful of this, or maybe we should do this or this and this. You have made it pretty clear in the interview right now, but also in your ways that you said, so there are certain issues that are important to your heart. Mental health is something that is of prominence for you. You've briefly mentioned the fact that there was another organization that you felt that you needed to kind of identify a difference between, just idealistically.
And I don't want to get too much into it. Look, it was probably something I should have just left alone. I had a little bit of free time, and it really, the stuff that I was getting, the messages and videos and pictures, police reports, enough stuff to where it wasn't like, oh, it's just somebody's word. It was actual like pictures and videos, like irrefutable evidence, like to the point to where my investigative mind, from my former life was like, look, this stinks to high hell. And then just hearing other stories and stuff. So it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I like I said, moving forward, I'm probably not going to get involved in anything petty like that, because I had an interview before, we got online with Grappling Insider, and I told him, I was like, this is like it's like the LA Lakers going to their farm team, like their single A farm team, and trying to start beef with them. Like, there's no benefit there for me. Why am I going to go out there and cause conflict with people that probably won't even be around in the next couple of months? So it's like, I need to pick and choose where my energies are at, and not be going out, after these things that are not going to, it's only going to make me look bad in the end anyways. So it's like, it's better just to disassociate and to wish them well and just let the cards fall where they may, because bad is always eventually shown to light. It may take 1 year, it may take 10 years, it may take never, but that's not my responsibility. I'm going to do what I can do, and I'm going to let them do what they can do. And as my professor once told me, he goes, you just sometimes got to sit back and watch the world burn, because eventually it's going to burn down. Bad people show they're bad. and you won't even have to do anything. It'll be the same result that you're hoping for. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with it. I'm not going to get back into a war. I just got out of a war with the biggest name in the game, and I'm not trying to get in the war with the smallest name in the game. So I'm just going to stick to what I'm doing, and and just be respectful and just focus on what I can control, and that's it.
Well, that's fair. And on the other side, though, you are mentioning this importance of, like, when something is important, though, to you guys, it does seem that you make it very, very vocal in terms of why you're doing certain things. Mm-hmm. And you made it a point to say that you're all about equal rights. And how are you doing that with one of these next events that you guys have coming up?
Well, I mean, I touched on this earlier too, but I mean, there's nobody out there. We have a bracket of 8 blue belt women, 160 pounds and below, coming up October 26th. And, we're giving the ladies, we've always given them a great platform to come out and show their stuff. And I don't look at women any different than I look at men in the sport. I mean, I'm not going to be up on a pedestal saying, hey, everybody deserves equal pay, equal this. Like, you get paid and relevant to your value. I don't care if you're a woman, a guy, I don't care, whatever. You're going to get paid to what you bring to the card or what you can do for the event. And if that's a lot, like a Gordon Ryan, then you deserve the big money. But if it's not a lot, like, if all you can do is talk like AJ or some of those guys, it's like these guys are asking for the stupidest money I've ever seen. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, all right, you guys do know that we were paying a little bit more for that June event because we wanted to build that hype up. It was a marketing expense. That's literally on our financials. Marketing was basically our budget for the last event, because we knew if we got all these guys with all their social media presence, we put on a great event, that eventually would spread like wildfire. But what doesn't need to spread like wildfire is that we overpay or that we're doing this or that, because we paid well the last event, but like I said, a marketing expense. And we also had to show people that we were legitimate because they didn't know who we were. So we had to make sure, we paid one guy probably close to 18 grand in cash just to prove a point. And just to prove a point, so we're more in line now with where the industry is and with who deserves what or who gets paid what. And that goes away with talking to guys like Seth or other people in the industry that can help me kind of, center line where, fighter pay is and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's interesting times right now. Like I said, it's a wild west out here. There's nothing established in this industry yet. And it's prime for somebody to kind of take that lead and move ahead.
Well, it's so interesting because, I appreciate the importance of telling people to know your worth. But I think that maybe one phrase that should be said in jiu-jitsu that maybe doesn't get said is also know what jiu-jitsu is worth. So that's why it's important to follow not just the money, but what the analytics are. So I'm a guy who I read TV ratings by the day, like I know what people draw in and I know how to triangulate between social media. It's not always correlated, but you can get an idea of where things stand.
You can get like the stuff that like I've always been big on human behavior, on what makes people tick. My degree in college, I did a whole bunch of all that fun stuff, abnormal psych, and then just my own personal stuff. I have a really strong intuition that is normally right more than it's wrong, and that's something that I've been able to hone into. I know what gets people excited. We did that para-athlete match, John Dowdle and the other guy, and they put on a hell of a match on our last card. Not only is that a cause close to my heart with the We Defy Foundation, but I knew that alone right there, if it went off the way we wanted it to, would be a great moment for the sport, for those guys, and for us as well. So there's things like that. Like we're building into the next event. We're going to do a 4-man mini Army, Air Force, and Navy Marines. We're going to get representatives.
That's
4-man
dope.
tournament. And the winner, we're going to send them to Worlds, and we're going to help them out with some stuff. And we're going to ask for donations for the match so that we can give them a nice prize, too, at the end and send these guys on their way. So that's one that we haven't let out yet. But I'm working with Brian Marvin over at We Defy, and we're putting something really cool together for that.
Dude, I cannot. Like, let me tell you this. This is so weird. When I used to work at The Tonight Show, once a year we would do a audience of just service members. Mm-hmm. And you want to talk about the easiest load in for an audience ever. And the weird part was, at first I would come in and they would basically make me the point person to talk to all the different branches. And so a comprised of those branches were multiple different locations of people coming in. And so one year I remembered having to pull them in, and they said, "Hey Raph, could you get an idea of who we might want to pull from the audience to do a bit with Leno. There's going to be a competition amongst the branches. And I said, y'all are going to kill someone. Like, wow. I was like, because they're going to be on TV and they're going to be competing against each other. And sure as shit, they had one part of the competition where it was who could open, because it's the Thanksgiving Day episode, who could open like a cranberry container. And lo and behold, their thing wasn't working. So dude's punching right through it and spiking through it. And like our producers are looking at each other like, what's going on? I was like, what'd you expect? No one wants to lose for their branch. Nobody wants to be the person who dropped the ball. But I cannot tell you like the benefit of doing those things where people can see them visually. I'm sure you know, but getting to see that on like a massive like 5 million people watching at scale and watching how these guys felt appreciated, it was just like, those are shows that I get excited, and I'm very happy that you would be doing that, because I feel like nobody's really doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's just something that we're trying to, we say we're changing the game or doing this. Look, a lot of this stuff has been established. Like my professor tells me all the time, he's like, this team stuff we've been doing in Brazil, long before it was over in America. Like we had team events, like, and like all this stuff is, it's not reinventing the wheel. All we're trying to do is create a rule set, create a structure, create an environment to where we can take this to the next level. We're not trying to copy anybody. We're not trying to put anybody down. We're just trying to put on the best show possible and be, an industry leader in what we're doing. And, that I think that involves, like Seth, he has his place in the industry. Kasai has their place in there. There's plenty of places in the industry, and we're going to have ours, which is going to be more of the, I would think more of, if you were going to compare them, more of a traditional approach. And you have ours, which is more of a, non-traditional approach, I guess you could say. We're taking a lot of our influences from music, pro wrestling, acting, just different things, and really trying to up the dramatics and the theatrics of our event, because I think that's, people enjoy a show more than anything. So.
Absolutely. And I'm very happy to hear, you guys are making such an impact in such a quick time. I mean, nobody ever wants this, but it's pretty nice that after your second event, you're already starting a lawsuit with Flo. That just shows that something good is happening, because they don't want to lose
something
you.
Bad, yeah.
No, but think about it from the other side. I mean, it's hard to be outside and think of it from maybe my perspective, which is, Flo wouldn't want, if you weren't providing, Flo wouldn't want to keep you. You know what I mean?
And look, they've made it clear, look, that we are an irreplicable, and that they want to keep us. And look, some of this they could say it was tough negotiating, whatever, gamesmanship on our end. But at the time, we're like, hey, this is our business. This is my life. I have a new wife, and this is my, I don't do this for fun. I'm not going to just say, oh, okay, guys, I'll give you another, if we're going to renegotiate, we're going to renegotiate. And I get why pay-per-view may not work in their model, and that's fine. It doesn't work in their model right now, but you never know. ESPN Plus does a UFC and a subscription service. So I think that eventually there's going to be maybe an evolution into more mixed media, to where people can have more choices, because the more choices you have, the more chance you're going to have to capturing, that customer. So if you have, okay, well, I have a subscription service, but also have, pay-per-view here, I can do this and this and this, or, you can just purchase a pay-per-view a la carte with an option for a discount on our subscription service with your purchase.
That's cool.
There's all kinds of creative ways that you could go about monetizing the pay-per-view model past just a strictly a la carte system. And I think down the road, who knows what happened. We're committed to working with these guys, doing what we can, and working in good faith and building our partnership and building our brand, and doing what we can. I mean, we're very happy with what they came back with, and we're gonna hopefully get it sealed the next day or so. And actually, my attorney was just calling me while I was while I was on here. So
fair. Okay.
So there you go. We're right in the thick of things. So it's cool, man. Those people are great. I've really enjoyed my conversations with Phil Windler over there, Tori Howard. Howell's been great in our limited interactions. Ricardo over there. They got a good team of people over there. And I don't know all the politics and all the past and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to have a good mindset and good mentality and move forward. That's all I can do. That's what
the other thing that people sometimes don't know, again, being a student of television, is that there are so many of these relationships that break bad, where executives who run networks go, I'll never work with this person again. And then 2 years later, And they're right back together. So it's like, to me, this is watching the beginnings of the formal years of how it gets brought together. So that's why, to me, all these partnerships and all these, collaborations, when they go well and they break bad, I go, guys, so many of us who work in this industry, we're all going to still be here. Like,
nobody's going anywhere.
The whole point is, I don't think, even if you run into obstacles, you now have a passion project in your life that if it makes financial sense for you, you're going to keep going and trying to kill it and do that sort of a thing. So it's like, it's who's to say. So that's why I'm very meticulous about looking at these things and saying, like, yeah, I don't think people know how it's advanced on the bigger levels for ABC and NBC. There's one dude who touched all networks, literally all networks. Think about
That's
that.
Crazy.
One executive who literally was at NBC, ABC, CBS, TNT, Warner, and oversaw the El Rey network at some point. And you look at that person and you're like, oh my God. And it wasn't like he was bad. He created all these major hits and you go, yeah, we don't have that yet in grappling.
No, and look, we're coming in. We're very ambitious. We're grinders, man. A lot of things that people have underestimated, not just me, but our team since day one. I mean, they'll never make it, or they're not gonna do it, or these guys are fucking crazy. They're getting sued. They're going to jail. They're gonna give me a fucking break. Like, do you realize what I've been through in my life? This is nothing. You think this is going to stop me? You think I'm going to fold up and go home? No, I'm going to fucking get ready for a fight. Like, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not just going to lay down. I mean, I might be a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm a fucking black belt in business outside of jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, if they want to come at us, I mean, I'm going to come back just as strong. And we're going to be just as prepared, and we're going to be just as thoughtful, because we're fighting for not only what we believe in, we're also fighting in for our company, our livelihood, the money that we've invested, the stuff that we've done that nobody else sees. So I'm not just going to lay down and let somebody come in and wave a stick around and say, this is how it should be done. Because if that's how it should be done and you know how to do it, why the fuck aren't you doing it?
Yep.
So there's my rant on that.
Well, I appreciate it. And you know what? Here's the thing. I know that you have a lawyer calling you, and I would love to make sure that we get this deal done sooner than later. But let's go through the reminders. What is coming up? I know we've got a 26th event, and then also on December 7th. Walk us through it. If people just tuned in right now, why did they need to tune into those events, sir?
October 26th is going to be streamed for free by us on our YouTube channel. So we're giving it away. Thurco's Grappling 2, the qualifiers, Bill Cooper, Lucas Valente, Pedro Mourinho, Jordan Holy, 2 brackets, great super fight still on that, 2 more on that card, Duke Edwards, Hector Silva, Alex Cotasel, great super fights, great brackets. We got Andrew Tackett in the bracket, the Tackett's younger brother. He's the next one. I promise you that kid is going to be a star. He's going to be a star. And then you got Josh Hom, crazy, another one, kid coming up. You got Marion Savinon out of Marcelo Garcia. I mean, man, there's just killer after killer after killer. You got Mona, alopecia jiu-jitsu girl Mona Bailey.
She's the best.
She's jumping in the girls tournament. She's 14. She's in the blue belt. She's probably going to win the whole thing. That's what's scary.
She's a monster. I love her. She's great.
So she's coming out, and we have a lot of really cool personalities and people that are primed for those breakout moments. Because I'm not just looking for, you put on an exciting fight. I want, if you can sell the fight, if you put on an exciting fight, and if you're also not an asshole to work with. So that, there's a lot of that comes into play. But we've put together 2 solid blue belt brackets, and it'll segue us into December, where the winner of each bracket gets a spot on the main card. And as of right now, some of these I have not announced, but I will put them out there. We've got Gordon Ryan, Rodolfo Vieira, Romulo Bahal, Jake Shields, Edwin Najmi versus Gilbert Burns in the gi. This one, Ricardo Evangelista and João Gabriel Rocha, open weight. That's going to be fun. We got Lucas Valente, world silver medalist. Let's see. World silver medalist. He's going to be facing Jesse as Jay-Z Cavalcante, Pride and Dream superstar. No gi, not in the gi. Lucas is normally known as a no gi or a gi guy, but he's coming in no gi, and that's going to be a great one. We're trying to get Nachi De Jesus and Ana Vieira done for the gi. So Rodolfo's sister, get her in there. And then Andressa Sintra, world champion, versus Veronica Messina. They had a great match recently earlier this year. And then we're doing Pedro Mourinho, Roberto Jimenez 3 on that card. The inter-service bracket. We've got 5 women matches on there. 2 of them on the main card. I mean, I'm telling you, this card right here, December 7th, could rival. It will, I think, supersede what we did in June. It's going to be amazing.
Dude,
so
that's
tune
so
in.
dope.
It's going to be a blast. I can't wait for maybe you can come down and you can have some fun with this. But I'm telling you, man, there's no stopping this. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You want to write my tombstone, you want to do that, but I'm telling you, we're just going to keep getting back up. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep putting on badass shows, and we're just going to keep doing what we think is right. So we're here for better or worse.
Like I said, dude, I saw once you had put Hidalgo and Gordon together. You know, it's funny because I messaged you and I said, listen, that was not a match that was on my radar that it needed to happen, but God damn, do I want it to happen. And so, you know, I mean, that was where I was watching. And it's weird because I make a blanket statement of always saying, like, I'll reach out to whoever's starting new promotions and stuff like that. You guys move so quickly, I couldn't even actually keep up with it. And
yeah,
so,
I mean, everything evolved so quickly. I try to say this. We're in our dispute, so I had to build up multiple scenarios depending on how this was going to break. So I had to be prepared to go to pay-per-view. I had to be prepared to possibly shutter the business and start something new. I had to be prepared to redo our deal with Flo, which I thought was the most likely option. So there was 3 different scenarios we're playing there. And some of those matches that worked under pay-per-view don't work under our Flo model, especially when I have other events through the year where you could easily main event it, because it starts to come down to diminishing returns when you put so many all-star matches on top. Eventually, it gets to the point to where you're not going to captivate any more of the audience than you already have. You know, unless you put Mike Tyson, you know, riding a goat or something in the intermission. I don't know. But, you know what I mean? And it gets to the point to where it's just too much. So we're trying to find the balance of extraordinary and it being too much, or, you know, it being the sweet spot. So that's kind of, you know, it's just trial and error right now. We'll just keep rocking with it.
Well, that sounds great. I cannot be more excited for these things. Obviously, we're excited for what's coming up. Free event on the 26th. Do not forget on December 7th. You will not want to miss that card. And the fact that he just previewed some of those matches that maybe you weren't aware of, but now you are. And if you aren't aware or excited of those things, I just don't know how to check a pulse. Like, those are fun matches.
I'm telling you, they've got to be the ones that are in their mother's basements, just hating everything, hating life, hating being a virgin, hating everything, you know? So they're just going to sit there and shit on great events. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to be having a great time. You're going to be sitting down there, you know, watching hentai or whatever you do, you know?
The poor person who was into the interview until you got to hentai was like, well, now I don't like Third Coast Grappling.
Third Coast Grappling, fuck those guys. We're done.
Well, I appreciate your time, Ryan. Obviously, it's amazing to see the growth that you guys have already had. It is fun to watch the matchmaking process that you are putting together here. You've obviously got avid fans. Fifth Stripe Podcast just wrote, I love Mom's Basement. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
And if it's what I think it is, that is a prime candidate for Basement Dweller #1. So, you know, I think it'll be a good take if we ever get to a TV movie.
Beautiful. Well, here's what's going to happen here. We're going to go ahead and get Ryan off of our interview. We're going to send him back into the wild, but we will have him come back later to talk about the next events that are, of course, happening with this promotion. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick little commercial break, and I will be right back after this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you very much to Ryan. We appreciate your time. Stay right there. We'll see you in just a second.
Hey everybody, it's your friendly BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparza, here to talk to you a little bit about Fire Grub Meal Prep. Now I know that a lot of you guys wonder, what exactly does it feel like to get a Fire Grub meal? Allow me to walk you through the several stages of it. Stage number 1, hanger. Stage 2, insanity. Stage 3, complacency. Followed immediately by stage 4, acceptance. Beautiful, beautiful acceptance. Because when you eat a Fire Grub meal, you aren't just eating healthy, you're watching the time fly by. In and out in less than 10 minutes. Perfect for those always on the go or those who always have an interview to get right back to.
This is where it all goes down. This is where we end it.
This isn't where it all goes down. There's also a mat outside. Say to him, I want you to look him dead in the eyes, and I want you to tell
What do you
him
want me to
what you
do?
would say to somebody if you were fighting him right now.
You gotta die.
It's about who wants it more. That's what this is coming down to.
We gotta have a rematch.
J. Wilson.
I didn't expect that we would get two competitors to play the video game console against one another, but not only did they bring it on that video game console, but their match was straight fire. There was a series of exchanges between the two that kept the crowd elevated and excited throughout. You see, there was a lot of great escapes by Ronnie. We went back and forth, oscillating between standing on the feet and getting some wrestling, and then doing some great work from guard. I thought they were very evenly matched, and it proved to be quite a fun experiment, especially here. You're going to try and pull off a twister in front of a 10th Planet crowd? You better not. And he didn't. I mean, Ronnie was able to get out of it, which then took them to overtime periods. The first period of overtime saw Ronnie start to work the offensive. However, JJ was able to get out in a short amount of time. Pressure's on Ronnie to go ahead and make some escapes, and he's doing a good job here. However, JJ does an impeccable job keeping that grip to secure an armbar finish here at the bottom of the first period of overtime. Now, at this point, I'm figuring I should go try and get the two of them together to go ahead and settle this, because Ronnie won the first game of Marvel vs. Capcom. JJ won the match, but the two of them agree right then and right there. They want to settle it with one more round of Marvel vs. Capcom. And that brings us to now.
Yes, the rematch.
The rematch.
We're 1-1.
because
This is the championship. We're 1-1.
Yeah. Deal.
Here's what happened. Who knew that we had two gentlemen that were going to be facing each other a little bit later? So you already saw the first match, then the second match happened on the mats. Now both of them, I don't know, why are both of your shirts off?
Well, he ripped mine. And grabbed his and ripped it.
I just realized, I was like, I've never facilitated a video game playoff where both guys were like, yo bro, let's go. Let's go.
And we're playing again, and poof, I was like, oh shit, this is real now.
Okay. Well, where are we at? Is it 1-1 now?
Yes, it's
We're
1-1.
So you won that one, you won this,
came
and
in
this
hot.
is the tiebreaker.
This is the tiebreaker.
So what are you guys going to play? Are you going back to
We
Street
should
Fighter?
go back to it, yeah.
Yeah, the same one.
Same one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only way
He's
to do
got
it.
to pick the same people.
So was
Oh,
it?
wait, so it was Marvel
versus Capcom.
It was Marvel
Marvel
versus
versus Capcom.
Yeah.
You both know what it is. So
was
here's what
Marvel.
the thing is. I'm going to step out of frame. Gentlemen, this is for all the marbles. And I mean, we don't have money, so literally marbles is what this is about. We don't have these fancy checks.
add to
And
my
if we
collection.
did, we wouldn't leave them backstage like some people.
That's where they're all at, man.
All right, gentlemen, good luck.
Let's do it.
All right. This is the rematch of matches, of all matches.
I need to figure out how to do those range attacks, man.
Yeah, it's this middle one right here, this top one. For Mega Man, that's what the cannon is. All right, I am gonna go.
Oh, it's this guy. I remember this
Yeah.
guy.
I gotta hit start, yeah.
Would you have
This
preferred
guy-
he been this helpful to you midway through the match when he was trying to take you down and be like, yo, dog, this is how you finish this? And combate. All right, Mega Man comes in with the first attack right now. This is the best part.
I figured it out, man.
17 to hit? What the hell, dude? Oh my god. You are lucky.
Oh, shit! Out of the game.
Damn. Okay, he's got the secret hacks right now.
I got the secret. Oh, shit!
He pile drived him with the spinning pile driver. I saw him try to do that in the match and it didn't go. Oh, it's a 17-24 hit.
my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Okay, he's already taken
Oh,
it.
no.
Now we got Wolverine coming in. Wolverine
shit, I missed!
Didn't do much. However, War Machine is coming back with a 7 hit right now.
Oh, no, I'm gonna lose. Oh, get. Oh,
Where did he go?
Not again.
Wolverine
Not again.
is looking weak right now. Can he make a comeback?
Yeah, there we go. Oh, God damn it.
That was intense. Guys, come back over here. Okay. This is the most intense thing I've ever seen. Gentlemen, first of all, great exhibition of sportsmanship on both fights. Explain to me what you're feeling right now, man.
Disappointment.
Kick my ass in real life. Disappointed. I gotta be honest with you. Which is more extreme? Feeling euphoric from winning the match, or feeling disappointed from winning the tiebreaker?
From losing the tiebreaker.
I can't. Yeah, no, dude. Okay, now talk to me. Do you feel like you redeemed yourself right now?
No.
You know,
Even in the first game, I was like, shit, if I win this, I'm going to jinx myself in the real match. I'm going to think I got it in the bag. I won Marvel versus...
I gotta be honest, did that change anything for you guys out there? When you were out there? Because I saw you guys both kind of like bump fists.
giggle, yeah.
You had already done that.
I told him, I go, get the rematch right now. Let's get the rematch.
I like the idea because I walked over, Octavio and I looked at each other, we're like, oh, we should group them together. Oh, they've already found each other. Yeah! Oh, they've already rematched each other. Well, gentlemen, I want to say thank you both for being the first individuals. You are both so goddamn sweaty. That's a lot of human sweat. No, I know you're doing it. I'm just letting you know, in the future, when you look back at this, people are going to be like, how did this happen? And why the hell
And
did
the
this happen
Marvel
like
versus
that?
Capcom game.
In a Marvel vs. Capcom situation where it's a rematch of in-game and out-of-game real life, but we're going back to in-game. We had to have the shirts on for our in real life battle, but this time
We didn't have to.
This time it was all the marbles, right? All the fucking. He said, I said, it's game time.
You have an undefeated record here. We're going to have to find somebody for you to take on. JJ, you've got a fight coming up on October 4th,
Yes,
correct?
dude.
Very much looking forward to that.
Good luck,
This is what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's great competitive sportsmanship. You know, you guys compete, and then you're rooting for him on October 4th, which is going to be great. We always love seeing you, so it's going to be on Bellator. Be sure to watch that. My thanks to both of these gentlemen, JJ, Ronnie. You guys are the best. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Raf.
Oh, man.
I won't get too much of that.
JJ, thank you, bro.
Good ass day, man. Absolutely.
It was fun. I needed it. That was rad.
Hey everybody, thank you so much. Again, our thanks to Ronnie and to JJ for that amazing segment of video gamery. Obviously, if you haven't seen, JJ ended up winning his MMA fight a couple weeks ago. Super happy for him. And I got the opportunity to go see Ronnie. I saw Ronnie this weekend with the Dream BJJ tournament, and then I went over to go train at two gyms. One was Boogie's gym, which was amazing, and the second one was Spring Valley, aka PJ's gym. So my thanks to all of those gentlemen for their hospitality. It was really, really cool to be around all of those individuals, and I very much appreciate their time. Before we get you guys on out of here, I did want to tell you a little bit of an update. I don't know if you remembered, but we ended up doing a little bit of a raffle. And we did a raffle for ADCC, and we ended up giving prizes to people who got a Pokemon who succeeded at ADCC. And as we start to see some of those winners get their prizes, I thought it might actually be cool to show you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. So check this out. This just happened the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share this screen with you guys. Okay, it is not letting me share the screen. I have to give it permission. I don't know why. But today, I happened to see our good friend, BJJ-esque, a.k.a. the man, a.k.a. Black Belt Killer, a.k.a. this guy. Sorry, it's just taking forever. Here we go. BJJ-esque got his own. Look at this. He got his prize package from our good friends over at VHTS. So they were the sponsor for that segment. He ended up winning. He got a pair of shorts and a super cool rash guard. And in it, he said, even though I was at ADCC 2019, I went back and watched the live commentary from yours truly and my friends, and I was their big raffle winner. VHTS NY hooked me up with no-gi gear and got me looking like Mateus Denise. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you for participating in that. And as we find some of the other individuals who ended up winning, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we include them in on the show. But we want to say a big thank you to VHTS. They are amazing, amazing individuals. I want to say they date all the way back to 2013 with me personally. They endorsed Verbal Tap, and they've been nothing but supporters. What? You don't like VHTS? Sorry, my dog Lucy is apparently not a fan. Well, they didn't send you anything. I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you. I can ask if they got a dog rash guard. That's okay? Do you want me to pull on the dog? Yeah, I'll pull on the dog now. So this is what happens when you talk. You're going to get put on the show now. Those of you who are watching absolutely nothing are wondering what is going on. I see her now. In case you're wondering, ladies and gents, this is my dog Lucy. Here we go. You want to interrupt the show? Is that what you're going to do? Luce, say hi to everybody. Lucy. World, Lucy. Lucy, we were just thanking our friends over at VHTS for sending one of our good friends a raffle prize package. And you were bitching over on the side because you weren't getting enough attention, right? You all done? You want to say bye to everybody now? Yeah. Anyway, my thanks to all of you guys for tuning in today. We had a great show. I want to thank Ryan McGuire for stopping by from Third Coast Grappling. I look forward to doing some work with them. And more importantly, I want to say thank you to everybody who was so great at Dream BJJ. You guys will see some photos a little bit later today and throughout the rest of the week if you went to attend that. And you know what's really cool is watching Blue Belts go submission only, no time limit, because that's one of the hardest formats there is, and these guys were just crushing it. So I cannot thank Dream Jiu-Jitsu for being so supportive and being so amazing. And it's always good to see our friends do continued great things, and it looks like they're going to be doing more adult events. So if you ever get the opportunity to compete in one of the Dream Jiu-Jitsu events, you want to do it. You want to say bye to everybody? All right, come on. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Grappling Hour. On behalf of myself, my dog Lucy, thank you for watching. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you on the mats. You want to press the button? Press the finish button. Come on.